There is a version of you that knows how to survive anything. The one who laces the boots, checks all the gear, answers the call, swallows fear, and calls it discipline. That part of you is real. It's earned. But if that's the only part that gets to live, you slowly disappear. Burnout isn't weakness. It's what happens when one part of you carries the entire system for too long. Today we're talking about identity, about parts, about how expanding who you are doesn't weaken the warrior inside of you. It keeps them alive. This is The Forge.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Welcome back, everybody. This is The Forge. I'm Tyler Van Allen. I don't feel like saying my credentials. If you've heard, you know. But the most important part that I will mention is, man, I'm a human being. I bleed just like everybody, and I can be injured just like anybody else. Every episode, we try to build something solid, whether that's through knowledge, whether that's through skills, not through hype, not through pretending, but by naming what's actually happening inside of us. Today, there's no guest, just this. You are more than your uniform. And that truth might be the difference between longevity and collapse. When you serve, right, military, fire, EMS, law enforcement, doctors, nurses, healthcare field, anything in human services, humanity services, that is not just a job, right? That is not a job. It becomes how you measure your worth, how you introduce yourself, how you regulate your nervous system, right? I hear that in my office all the time. I'm a Marine. I'm a firefighter. I'm a cop. Not, I work as, fill in the blank. It's an I am. And that identity is powerful, and it's not wrong. It's not wrong. But when it becomes 80 to 90% of your structure, something kind of dangerous starts to happen. You know, if work is hard, your whole identity feels unstable. When you start to struggle, you feel defective. If retirement comes, you might even start to feel erased. And that's not weakness. That's identity over concentration. And it's one of the fastest paths to burnout. And that's not just psychobabble stuff from a book. That's also my own personal narrative in a lot of things. We're just going to get this kind of neurobiology stuff out of the way because it might bore you. But to be honest, you know, for me, I like to know how things work. And sometimes knowing how something is happening inside of us, even in like a biological way, it takes a lot of pressure off into thinking that sometimes these are things that we should always just be able to, flip a switch and turn it off and on. So I'll spare you like the PhD language, and I'll just give you the stuff that really matters. So when we're talking about neurobiology of identity rigidity, our brains build identity through repetition and emotional intensity. And for those of us that have high adrenaline professions that repeatedly activate our amygdala. So think of the amygdala as our threat detection system. It activates the locus coeruleus. That's our norepinephrine, right? And my EMS workers out there, norepinephrine, say no more. You know what that is. You know what that does. And the HPA axis. So that's basically, look at that as like our stress response team. And the more something activates this survival circuitry, the stronger that neuropathway becomes. And so when we talk about neuroplasticity, neuroplasticity doesn't judge. It really just reinforces what we use most. So if your system, right, as a whole, if your system lives in alert, if it lives in mission focused, if it lives in hyper responsibility, if it lives in emotionally controlled states where we feel like we have to be emotionally controlled, that's what I'm talking about. Man, those circuits dominate. And when circuits dominate long enough, they resist flexibility. Burnout isn't just exhaustion, it's neural rigidity. It's a nervous system that forgot how to downshift, basically. Interestingly enough, too, I will preface this by saying, I am not a certified internal family systems therapist yet. But my best friend is, and I absolutely love everything that she has to say about this. And to me, I'm a visual person, so thinking about internal family systems therapy, and I'm not talking about like our families at home. I'm talking about parts of you that inside of you that work together like a family. That's what we're talking about. So there's a model called Internal Family Systems, IFS, developed by a guy named Dr. Richard Schwartz. And IFS teaches that we're made up of parts, different aspects of us that take on roles, right? So there are protectors, managers. Ironically enough, one of the parts is called firefighters, and then they're exiles. And beneath all of it, there's the self. That self is calm, grounded, compassionate, and aware. The service member in you, that's a protector part. It likely carries discipline. It likely carries courage. It likely carries loyalty, hypervigilance, and emotional containment. And it is not your enemy, not by a long shot. It saved you. But if that protector part of you believes it must run and be in charge of the system 24/7, other parts get pushed down. That creative part of you that likes to build shit, draw shit, that spiritual part of you that likes to just have a connection to something, being on the water, fishing, going for a hike, that playful part of you that likes to just get with your friends and have a good laugh, that relational part of you, that can get pushed down. I'm a husband, but I'm disconnected. I'm a father, but it's hard to be present. And also the exhausted part of you, that gets pushed down. So when those parts get exiled, the system tightens. Burnout is often a protector that refuses to step back because it doesn't trust the rest of you. It just doesn't. It's like, no, like I gotta keep this going because you guys are gonna slow this thing down, right? If we're talking about IFS, all the parts inside of us. But here's the quiet fear, and it is a fear that I've known all too well. If I invest other parts of myself, does that make me less committed to something that's most important? The simple answer, no, not at all. Not at all. we're becoming more resilient. Think of it like a building, right? A structure built on one pillar, that's pretty fragile. It's only going to take one good wave. It's only going to take one moment of some shaky ground, and that structure is going to collapse. But a structure built on 5 pillars, that's a little more stable. That's a little more stable, right? And when you are a parent, a musician, a biker, a person of faith, a creator, a friend, your nervous system has multiple anchors. If one area takes a hit, the whole building doesn't collapse, right? So expanding our identity, multiplicity of identity, it doesn't shrink the warrior inside of us. It stabilizes them. It stabilizes them. And there's a real cost of suppressing those parts of us, right? Because emotions that don't get processed, they don't disappear. Be freaking nice if they did, just in thin air. They don't. Chronic stress reshapes, again, back to some of the brain parts, reshapes our hippocampus. And that's the memory and stress regulation part of our brain. It reshapes the prefrontal cortex, right? That's our impulse control. And it reshapes the amygdala, which is our threat detection reactivity. And over time, our baseline shifts. What is a baseline shift? Anybody in your life ever tell you that you feel irritable? They're feeling like you're irritable. Oh, where are you right now? You don't seem like you're here. Detachment. Maybe you recognize I feel numb. I'm at a birthday party for my kid, and I know it's a great day, but it's kind of just like a movie and I'm just kind of watching it. Or I know I should feel happy, but I don't know what that feels like. And maybe you're one of those that is just chronically tired, but really in a way that sleep doesn't fix. And that's not laziness. That's a nervous system that is just stuck in survival. It's just stuck there. But other identity parts activate our parasympathetic regulation. And you're like, Tyler, what is parasympathetic regulation? Like, just stop with the big words. It's the part of our nervous system that helps us just chill, right? Helps us chill, slows our breathing down, helps us take a few more breaths, helps us kind of relax into our comfy seat, right? Other identity parts activate that. So music, spirituality, creativity, movement, connection. For me, music is such a big part of my life. It used to be my job, but now, it's still a part of me. It's still a part of me. Coming downstairs into my studio and creating songs, writing music, not to get famous off of, but just to enjoy, just creating something I can listen to myself and just be proud of, or something I can share with my friends. And it's a big deal, right? Spirituality is the same way. We're not talking about religion here. We're talking about spirituality. Spirituality is anything that brings you a sense of peace, and movement, right? For me, Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm out there with my guys playing hockey in the morning. That's movement, right? That's some movement. I just got to get out there and move, get out there and be a part of something that's, what I'm doing is not designed to make me money. It's not designed to advance me in my career. It's just something I am doing with no pressure. These things aren't just hobbies. We're not just talking about hobbies. We're talking about this is medication for our nervous system. That's exactly what we're talking about here. This is medication for our nervous system. Folks, if you're enjoying the content so far, keep it locked. Coming very, very soon. It's still in the works, not too much longer to have to wait. The Warrior's Manual is a manual that is being created for you, for me, a tool that sort of lines up with this podcast. It is 3 months, a weekly manual for you to get some grounding tools that actually work and function. There's prompts, there's quotes, things to help you forge a path ahead. It's not a self-help book per se. It's not some cheesy book filled with lots of psychobabble worksheets. Just real stuff for real people who are looking to get to know themselves again, who are looking for a little bit of clarity and ways that they can help themselves and put some of this weight down. So coming soon, our website is currently being built as we speak. The Warrior's Manual will be on Amazon. There's going to be hard copies. It'll be available right through our website. We also have a digital copy. So for me personally, I love the hard copy. There's something about putting pen to paper that really is just very grounding. But for those of you, we have a digital copy that's going to be available. You can pull that right up on your phone, right up on your iPad, on your computer, and you can actually work through it in that sense too. So keep it locked. Definitely we'll have more information to come on the Warrior's Manual. Thanks so much. A question that I kind of would like to pose here. And before I do, I might say that, hey, this could be kind of scary. If that uniform had to come off tomorrow, what parts of you would still stand? And if that question feels heavy, good. If that question feels scary, good. It's not a fear that you should run away from. It's a fear that's saying, hey, pay attention to me. Something's happening here. Something is going on. I haven't thought about this, right? So don't run from it. Think about it. It's not there to scare you into fear. It's not there to keep you locked in and isolated. It just means that you're thinking. You're thinking. You guys aren't just the badge. You're not just the rank. You're not just the call sign. And just because that has to take a pause sometimes doesn't make it any less or any smaller in your life. That part of you is honorable, but it's not the whole story. And the more integrated that you can become, the harder you are to break. My father was, he had a lot of hobbies. He built so many things. But, yeah, he was not just a fireman. He was a historian. He enjoyed playing golf so much. Like he just loved golf. And when he was golfing, he wasn't an assistant chief. He was a teammate. He was cultivating some pride in himself, refining a skill that was for his own sense of self, and that's a beautiful thing to have, right? This is how we build something solid, right? And the more integrated that you can become, kind of indulging those different parts of your personality, right? Yeah, the stronger you are, so that when that main identity is ever present, right? I am a service member. I help other people. I'm a therapist. I'm a doctor, right? When that main identity is present, it's not just being supported by one pillar alone. There's things out there that help that rest. And so when you do come back to it, when you do take that next shift, you're a beast, man. You're a machine. You got this because you've rested appropriately. So every episode of The Forge, you guys have likely heard my hammer ritual. And again, I've got a huge oak beam from a barn. It's really, really old, and I've got a ton of railroad spikes. And After every episode, I take one of these spikes and I drive it into that beam, and it's cultivating something, right? It's a piece of art, but it's an art that represents intentionality. So before I close this episode, I want to do something intentional. If you're watching this or listening to this, you know the ritual, right? You know the ritual. This is not for decoration. This is for structure. And today's spike is for integration, for the reminder that you are more than one function. You are not just a partner. You are not just a spouse. You are not just a parent. And you are not only just a service member. As I drive this nail in, I want you to think of one part of you, one identity outside of your uniform that deserves space. Not as an escape, as reinforcement. And reinforcing those other parts, that's not abandoning that warrior inside of you. That's reinforcing the frame. That's adding nails that strengthen the beam. Every identity strengthens the person. I'd love to hear what you guys think about this. What are your struggles? What do you agree with here? What do you disagree with here? Like I designed this, this podcast is I want it to be interactive, right? I am not an expert of your life. And you're not an expert of mine, but together, collective knowledge, collective experiences, we can all learn something, right? We can all learn something. So please drop me a line. I think the contact info is going to be in the bottom of the description of the podcast. Drop me a line. Tell me what you think. I'll tell you the same thing I always tell all my clients, right? Have a listen, give it a shot. And if it sucks, come back and just tell me, hey, dude, this sucks. Like, I think maybe this would be a better direction, or this is a thought. And as we start building some of those comments, I'm going to try my best to address them every episode, just to share the wealth, share the knowledge, share the thoughts. Always good stuff. Always good stuff. Keep these things in mind. Understand that you are a sum of parts that create you as a whole. Carry that with you this week. See what changes. See what you notice. See what shows up. Thanks so much. I just appreciate each and every one of you for following this show, supporting the show, supporting the Forge on social media. I deeply, deeply appreciate you so much. So as always, take care of yourselves, right? Take care of yourselves. It is not selfish to put yourself first. Allowing yourself to rest and recover only helps you show up for everybody else with even more intensity, more drive, and more power. So take care of yourselves. Thanks so much. Social media isn't a replacement for therapy. And while I am a therapist, I am not your therapist. Please reach out to your local resources or call 988 if you are in crisis. This is educational content only, not therapy or a replacement for it. Rather, a little education for you along your way, along the journey. In chaos